Hey y'all, it's Crystal. Thanks so much for stopping in. So today, just maybe a little something different, but just a little chat about a book series that I just finished, and then how it kind of compares to the series adaptation that you can also watch. And I am going to be talking about the Hellbound. So yeah, I just recently finished reading both of these. This is a kind of just a two-part kind of series, and then you can watch the adaptation on Netflix. So let's talk about it. So the Hellbound is a Korean manhwa, so it is a graphic work. It is written by Yong Sung Ho, famously known for the Train to Busan, one of the best zombie movies, and then the artwork is by Choi Yu Sok. This is translated by Danny Lim, and the lettering is done by Michael Heisler, the English lettering. So yeah, I really like the style here. Just show you a little bit there. But basically, there's a lot going on in this story, actually. And then, of course, once you get to the second, I'll show you the second cover because it looks really cool. But basically, what we find out early in the story is that people are receiving what they're calling a notice. And what the notice says is that in such and such a time, you will be taken to hell, straight to hell. And it could be in 5 minutes, it could be in 5 days, it could be in 5 years. It is a very seemingly random kind of time, that it's just random, right? And so right at the beginning of the story is this man who's sitting kind of like in a coffee shop, cafe kind of place, and lo and behold, he gets his notice on, so I'll just show you a bit here. These kind of almost like demons, hell spawn or whatever, and they come and take him to hell, right? So I'll show you there on the back too here. And what's left is usually this like sort of burnt crisp of a skeleton left behind, right? And and so what this leads to in the story is, particularly book one, we also get a perspective of a kind of like a detective who's seeing these these happenings as more murder, like who's doing this murder, right? And so he's kind of investigating from that kind of outlook. And then there is this kind of group that is called the New Truth, and they have been talking about these because it's a global thing. They've been talking about these things that have been happening throughout the globe for a little while now, and they really clutch on to this as almost from a religious standpoint, and as sort of punishment from God, and what is confess your sin, what is your sin, why are you being taken to hell, that kind of thing. They really latch onto that part of it. And so in the beginning, in the early stories, it's like they seem a bit more cult-ish, like it's kind of a fringe kind of thing, but everyone all quickly gets involved all together. The detective, the people from the New Truth, there's a lawyer involved, there's media. It's a whole thing, right? And then the second book actually picks up maybe a few years, 4 or 5 years later. The people are still getting their notices, and it seems maybe it's like becoming a bit more frequent, and New Truth has really gained power and has become really more of a religion almost, and gathered lots of followers and become really kind of not popular, what's the word, but a sort of a force in the decisions that are being made around the country, that kind of thing. But what is so interesting is, for me, is why I love this book. And it is, I would say, a horror type of story. It's very violent, lots of violence in here. And just the theme of course, being dragged to hell is, it's kind of terrifying, right? Whether you believe in hell or not, like the thought of what you maybe picture hell as being can be pretty terrifying, right? But it also, I love this discussion around religion, right? So if you're into sort of religious horror or thoughts about religion, I think you would really enjoy this series, because it does, tune into that sin. What is a sin, and who is it to someone to kind of punish that person for sin? Like what sin is enough? Is it just being addicted to gambling and having debt? Is it being a vicious murderer? What are the levels of sin, and when is this punishment just too much? And then when someone gets a notice that, I don't want to spoil anything, but when someone gets a notice that has no sin, and they have no sin, what does it mean then? So is this actually something that's from God? Or is this just something that's happening randomly, just some supernatural fluke of an occurrence? All of that is in here, and I think it's so fantastic and really well done around this whole conversation of sin, and what does it mean to be a good person and a bad person, and who is it who is actually to pass judgment, right? All of that's in here, and it was really fantastic, honestly. It really explored all of those things in here, and it was just really well done, honestly. I'm a big fan, and I think this started out as like a webtoon. I don't even know if you can still read them online or not, but maybe I'll try to search it and kind of see if they're still hanging out there. But you can, they have put them in books now and translated them into English for us, so you can pick them up and enjoy them also, and they're worth it. I think the artwork's really well done. The books were really nice, so yeah. So I would definitely recommend reading it. And I would recommend reading this before watching the adaptation. Like I said, it is on Netflix. Now, it came out last year, so I'm late to the party, but I'm like, there's some things that I want to read the books before I watch. Sometimes I worry about that, sometimes I don't. But for these ones, yeah. So the adaptation was fantastic. It captured all of this story, and was it 6 episodes? They were about an hour-ish, long each, and it was fantastic. The writer, Young Sung Ho, was involved in the show, which I think was a good move, and you could tell because it definitely it captured this story very well. The acting was really wonderful. The CGI of the little devil creatures were maybe a bit cartoonish, but they actually aren't the main focus. It's the characters that we're following, right? That detective that I mentioned earlier that's following this story, then the people of the New Truth, the lawyer woman who kind of gets wrapped up in all of this also. The violence and gore was there, but not super over the top, but again, really effective. They did a fantastic job with the adaptation. I thought it was really, really well done. And supposedly there's a season 2 coming, because the ending is a little different. They definitely brought something to the ending in the series that led them to they could expand the story more in another season. So as far as I know, this is done and complete, and there's no more coming, as far as I have been able to find. But season 2, I think will definitely kind of expand this story and give us a little more food for thought. Because again, what I really appreciate about it is this whole, it's religion or not, but like, what is a good person and a bad person? So yeah. The series is definitely worth your time. Like, it's just 6 episodes. It's definitely, you can make your way through it. If I made the time for it, if I can make the time for it, Lord, I'm terrible at watching shows. So I would definitely recommend watching it. So even if you're not interested in reading the series, the adaptation is pretty spot on to the storyline of the books. So you could just watch it and I think take away some of those things that are in the book that they really, you know, put into the series too. If I'm trying to make sense. So, so yeah, I would highly recommend this series. It was just really fantastic, and the adaptation was really well done. A really good compliment to the books, and so I recommend both for sure. And so yeah, so I'm gonna end it there, and so let me know if you have read these, or did you watch the adaptation yet, or are you interested now that I've chatted about it? Again, I really loved this, so I would definitely recommend it. And so yeah, thanks for watching. As always, I'm so appreciative of your time. And so until next time, friends. Bye.